then on, I had the habit of reading the newspaper, scanning through the headlines, and going through the last page, which has the science facts. Also, most newspaper companies also give you weekly booklets.
The 16th president of United States, President Abraham Lincoln, is often credited with saying the best way to predict the future is to create it. This very statement paints a clear picture of a man who believed wholeheartedly in remaining steadfast to his dreams, in staying persistent, and in never giving up no matter what trials and tribulations might be faced. But when he said that the best way to predict the future was to create it, he wasn't just talking about the persistent, he was talking about using the eternal power of thoughts, the very fundamental energy that all lives and realities is born from, to help manifest your dreams. Let me introduce you all with us today a very, very special guest joining us all the way from Tamil Nadu, Miss Vinisha Umashankar. She is a student innovator. She was the recipient of Earth Day Network Rising Star in 2021. It was awarded by the Earth Day Network USA. She was the recipient of Children Prize in 2020 for her innovation, the solar ironing card. The prize was awarded to her by the Children Climate Foundation Stockholm, Sweden. And let me tell you, she was praised for receiving the Children Climate Prize in 2020 on Twitter by Mr. Prakash Javadekar, the Union Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Dr. Tamila Shulai Sundararajan, the Governor of Telangana and Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Mr. Idalpadi K. Swamy, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Anand Mahinda, the Chairman of Mahindra Group, Mumbai, Mr. Rahul Munjal, the Managing Director, Hero Future Energies, the Press Information Bureau of India, and a lot more influential people and organization all over the world. And I believe her profile has so many things, so many glories, which I won't be able to explain in next few minutes. But I'm pretty sure during this conversation, we are going to learn a lot from her. So first of all, Vinisha, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
It's a pleasure in this interview, and I'm looking forward to talking to you as well.
Same here. It's our pleasure too. So, actually, moving to the topic of today's session, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I think you are a best example for many of us, for all those bright young minds who are looking to do something great, something big in their life. Vinisha, my very first question to you is: what was your key driving force to become an innovator? How actually it happened? It's a kind of request to you. Please explain our viewers how actually things happened with you.
Okay, I think the innovating thing came only after around 10 years of age, but it all actually started since a very young age. I think I was around 5 years old, and my parents actually gifted me a space encyclopedia for my birthday. And I was already very interested in reading. I would spend hours in the library just reading any book that I liked. So, this was one of my favorite birthday presents. I actually still have it, and that book just ignited a kind of spark in me, and I was just fascinated by the space and the science that it involved. So from then on, I've just been very interested in science. But only after given this opportunity of eliminating the usage of charcoal to develop an ironing cut, I decided that I would do something about it, and now I have the title of an innovator. So this is how it happened.
All right, I'm sure many of you, those who are watching, they are surely going to get inspired from this. Vinisha, my second question to you is: how did the idea for your innovation of solar ironing card come about? Please explain or tell us more about it.
Yes, definitely. I think this question ties with the previous question really well because I spoke about the opportunity which leads to innovation. I think this is a key role in innovation. When you see an opportunity or a problem, you can figure this out. The same situation came to me just a few years ago when I was in seventh standard. Now I'm in 10th standard. So I saw the ironing men in my street using charcoal to iron clothes. This happens every day, but that day I noticed that something was wrong because I paid a little attention to it. So I came home and I did a little research on how charcoal is produced and how it is used. I figured out that it causes deforestation because trees are chopped down and then burnt, and in the process of burning, it causes air pollution. And when the ironing men breathe in the toxic fumes produced by charcoal, it also causes respiratory diseases because it contains a gas called carbon monoxide, which is very toxic. And all of these problems further contribute to global warming, which leads to climate change. So, all of these problems tied together became an opportunity, and I decided that I would make the best of it because India has a very hot climate, and it only seemed right to use the amount of solar energy that we could potentially use. So, I came up with the solar iron cart.
Correct, Vinisha. I think this is something we all need to genuinely appreciate, and I'm sure many of us are going to learn from you. Vinisha, as you have told, you were doing this with your school, with your schooling, means you have continued your schooling, you never discontinued that part. Can you describe outline of your typical day? How actually you are also contributing or putting your efforts in your innovation part and also keeping your focus on studying? Because when I was reading about your profile, I got to know that you are good in math and science. So I actually want to know.
Okay, there's a typical day in my life. You could say that I usually have 5 classes a day. Now it's online classes, so it's around 10 to 3 o'clock. So those times of my day are often occupied by schooling, and there are barely any breaks between the classes. So that 5 hour block of my day is completely occupied by schooling. To compensate this, I wake up at around 7 to 8 in the morning, just enough to squeeze in time to read the newspaper, which is important. And then I have my breakfast, which is usually just 15 or 10 minutes. And then I just revise what the previous day I have learned at school. So until 3 o'clock, this is what happens. After 3 o'clock, I usually take a break because it's 5 hours of continuous schooling, especially since it's online and since the screen isn't very good for us at long periods of time. I take a break from the screen completely. And after 5 o'clock, I finish all my homework and then I sit for innovation or any competitions I am preparing for. That usually goes until dinner. After dinner, I do exactly what I want to do. I might do a little painting, I might play the keyboard, I might watch videos or listen to music. It depends because after dinner I'm completely free and I often like to go to the terrace after dinner because it's much cooler at night during the day.
Indeed, Vinisha, you were when you were describing your whole day, what actually you do. You told one important element. You told that when you get up in the morning, you have a habit of reading newspaper. So actually, I want to ask you, what do you think? What is the importance of reading newspaper every day, and how would you recommend to all your peers, those who are means from your age group, or the all also the people those who are means actually from above the age group also?
Okay. If there's any tip for the in newspaper period of the day, the thing is newspapers have daily information because our world is changing every day. And since news is obviously the abbreviation of north, east, west, and south, it also gives you information happening around the world in just a booklet of paper. So reading it is very concise and gives you most of the information you need to know that's happening around the world. A trick to reading the newspapers is most of the newspapers might have a section which interests you. So try finding that section. It could either be the political section of the newspaper or perhaps the headlines. The newspaper that I buy usually has a comic section and a science section at the back. So that interested me a lot. And From then on, I had the habit of reading the newspaper, scanning through the headlines, and going through the last page, which has the science facts. Also, most newspaper companies also give you weekly booklets, and there is a newspaper which provides a booklet on Monday and on Sunday. Usually, those extra booklets are very interesting to read. So, if you're not interested in the daily newspaper, perhaps you'll be interested in that as well. So once you find something that interests you, it's easier to keep up this habit.
Indeed, Vinisha, I think this answer was meaningful on many levels, and I'm sure the viewers who are watching, they are surely going to find this as a major takeaway. My next question to you is, what motivates you?
Okay, there are different kinds of motivators. I have role models, and then the actual motivators would be my parents. My parents are really very supportive to me. My mother is actually a teacher, so she can clear my academic doubts and help me with my schoolwork, which I find really helpful because now I'm in 10th standard and things are piling up, but she has been very helpful, kind, and supportive to me. And then my father, who is most of the technical support, he helps with registration and submission in competitions because I can't do that every day. He also helps me with interview arrangements because that is also not something I can do all the time. So he's very helpful in those aspects as well. So combining both of my parents together, I have a strong support system, one supporting me with my schoolwork and one supporting me with extracurricular activity, and I'm very thankful for that.
That's actually really very great. You have this kind of support. Vinisha, my next question to you is, how actually get ideas for your this kind of innovation? What I have seen is that your most of the innovations are inspired from the nature. So how actually you get these kind of ideas?
Okay, I actually mentioned a key note in the first question itself that opportunity or problem leads to innovation. I believe in this through and through. There's also a second principle I believe in, that nature often gives you opportunities to develop new things because from the earliest times people have developed things from nature, and it's just a good way to look for opportunity. But nowadays the nature is often being degraded, which provides a new set of opportunities to make it better. That's where this problem kind of opportunity comes in. As I noticed, charcoal was harming nature. So, using that opportunity to make it better gives you an idea for an innovation. And since I developed the solar ironing cart as my first project, I've then since contributed to my other innovations as well, making them a little eco-friendly. And I'm also working on a set of innovations for for the poverty and people who can't afford very expensive items. So I'm working on eco-friendly products and affordable products. I'm also working on a few products which can help curb the transmission of virus and bacteria.
And that's really great. I think we all need these kind of ideas to actually move towards more sustainable development. My next question to you is, actually, when I was reading your profile, I got to know that your inspiration is Mr. C.V. Raman sir. So,
Yes.
why you have chosen him?
Yes, Sevi Raman sir is my inspiration, and there's also another person, but we'll get to that after this. Sevi Raman sir was a very good scientist and physicist, in my opinion, because he actually gained interest in science around the same age where I started learning more about science, 11 years old. In 11 years old, we are in 6th standard, and we are further introduced to physics, chemistry, and biology in three different branches at school. So from there on, I started learning more about science. I also realized C.V. Raman sir was doing the same thing around that age. But he was also developing a higher interest for physics, and I'm also a little more inclined to physics at school. He also was the first Asian to win the Nobel Prize. That was really inspiring, and I also aspired to win the Nobel Prize one day.
That's really great. And who is other person? You have told that you have two
Yes,
person.
the other person is Marie Curie, and she was the first female scientist to win the Nobel Prize twice. That's even more amazing. But what's better than that is she was the female scientist during a time where females were generally not allowed to do that and discouraged from doing it. But she was brave and she stood up for her passion, which is something I believe in too, and many other children out there should stand up for their passion and ideas because only they know how important it is for them.
Correct. Vinisha, my next question to you is how actually you define your success?
Sorry?
How do you define your success?
Okay, I define my success as not something that happened overnight, but unlike many other people, but this success was almost a year and a half's work because the APJ Abdul Kalam Ignite Award was something I was working towards because after I discovered that I have a good idea, but what do I do with it and how do other people get to know that I have such an idea? Because if there's one thing I believe that if somebody has an idea, it's practically useless until it reaches the people, because only then its full potential can come out. But up until then, I didn't have any source or platform to bring my idea out. So I worked really hard and I figured out that there's a competition called the APJ Abdul Kalam Ignite Awards. And I decided this is a national platform. If I work hard enough and create a really good research paper, I might have a chance at submitting this and winning in the awards ceremony or competition. So I did work really hard. It was 6 to 7 months worth of effort into the research paper. Finally, I submitted it and I also won. I was placed as one of the 18 awardees who won on a national level, and it was a really different experience for me. So, all of the success does come from hard work, but you could also put in a little smart work to make it a bit easier, which I've been doing nowadays.
Indeed, I think this is something really great you have achieved in such a small age. Vinisha, my next question to you is do you believe there is some sort of pattern or formula to becoming a successful innovator?
Not really. I don't think there's a set of formulas or patterns because there's a different potential in every single person. You can't put everybody in the same mold and expect them to do good. It's like judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. It's a well used saying, and I'm using it here as well because every person is different. Someone might succeed with more conventional methods, and someone might succeed with abstract methods and out of the box, something they came up with themselves. For me, it works really well with online and researching in books. It also works to observe surroundings. Since these methods work for me, doesn't necessarily mean others should implement it as well. There's one key thing is find your own way to innovate because if you innovate from your heart and innovate in your own way, you're more likely to come up with better ideas than following something else. Also, nowadays online you can type how to innovate and you get multiple solutions for that, but not everything works for you and doesn't mean that you should follow everything and get confused. Just follow your heart and you'll find a good way to innovate by yourself, which probably works better than anything on the internet.
Correct. Again, it was really a very wonderful answer. Vinisha, my next question to you is how actually do you measure your improvement every day?
I keep improving every day, but doesn't mean it's a big improvement. So you could, uh, someone would imagine that you come up with an idea overnight and it sparks up. But that's not really how innovation works, or not really how scientists get their innovation ideas. It happens by observing and then creating and improving. Perhaps prototyping and testing will also be included in this. So if you research a little every day, then you try contradicting it. This is something I do often because I might find a solution, but how do I know it's the best? So I try coming up with another solution and compare them. So which one fares better in this place and this environment, in this society? But again, the same solution might not work in another part of the world. So contradiction works really well for me while doing research and is a reason for my improvement on a daily basis. Because through this method, you learn that there are other options and you learn a lot more information. And this knowledge of improvement is what makes me improve, even if it's just a little bit every day.
Indeed, Vinisha, I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take too much of your time. So moving to my last question of this session, actually, question or rather say, I'm just asking you to, do you have any one piece of advice would you would like to give to all the viewers of your age, or also you may give to all of us, or we also.
Yes, the message which I'm about to give doesn't select to any kind of age, young or old. This message is for everyone. Believe in yourself. What others think of you is completely irrelevant. You may have an idea or a passion which you're willing to work on, but there are people who might criticize you. But don't pay any attention to that. Just focus on your idea and passion. And once you work on it for a good amount of time and you come up with that spark or idea and ignition within yourself, your idea will be skyrocketing and it will probably be a really good one if you believe in it. So bring your potential out to the world. Those who criticize you before will probably congratulate you after you reveal your idea. So don't
Correct.
give up hope that easily. Stay strong and be curious.
Correct. It was a very wonderful message from your side. Thank you, Anisha, for joining and giving these all things for to us. We look forward to conduct more such session with you in future. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone.